Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and lulling you to sleep with a bedtime story of lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us, podcastevolved@gmail.com, or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Evolved on Patreon. For everything Evolved has to offer, visit evolvedhalo.com. This episode, we're debriefing the House of Reckoning mission from Halo Infinite. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
He's back. And Krista Brown.
Will he finally stop talking if he's dead?
He may.
Mr. Asthma?
because he leaves his audio logs all over the place.
No, all the pre-recorded
God
messages everywhere. There's no escape.
Matt filled in for the road, which we are very thankful for. While we kept this train running, we got a couple episodes left to wrap this baby up before we finally get some DLC in what year? Who knows?
Like 2025.
Sometime there will be more Halo Infinite, but the road is coming to an end. Speaking of the road, that was our last mission. Master Chief John 117 theme-songed his way down towards the House of Reckoning in true Spartan style, blasting his way through countless Banish in Wraith, Ghost, Warthog, or Scorpion, all of the above. Our hero reached the doorstep of what is shaping up to be an epic showdown. Now, in the House of Reckoning, Escharum has set up a number of combat trials that Master Chief must overcome, alongside more chest-beating monologues to endure before he can attempt to save Echo 216. Jega fails to stop John in a 1v1, which paves the way for the epic showdown between the two legendary heroes. Date of the game is May 28th, 2560. So we rolled up into this place. Matt and I actually talked about a little bit of the structure itself, and it's ominous, but it also just doesn't really look like anything. Do you guys recall what this thing looks like? The House of Reckoning.
The black rectangle,
kind of reddish thing, and it's kind of in the middle of a valley, and it's got these arms sticking out.
I thought it looked cool. It's kind of weirdly shaped, like kind of pyramid-y, but not squarey pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how, I mean, I would love to have like a Escharam's face on the front of it. Like, this is where Escharum lives, in the House of Reckoning. I think it's fine, but it could have been a little more ominous, I feel like. I mean, it's looming, but at the same time, it's not like one of the things we talked about at the very end is, you roll up in your Scorpion or whatever, and you're just let in the door. And I think that's on purpose, right? Like, Escharum wants you to come in at this point.
Yes, that was.
But it would have been fun to at least see some cannons or something attached to the side of the building. Something to make it seem like it's a little bit more protected than what it was.
Well, it was kind of cool that it was like a challenge. And it was like, all right, come on in.
Yeah.
We're ready.
And then the mission itself here, it's kind of like I'm going to call it a Halo sandwich. It's
like a dungeon crawler.
It's like, I mean, because the building is tall, and you are going up in the building, and you start with a monologue, which is maybe like some sauce, and then you have some combat, which is some meat, and then you go have a monologue again, and then you go up, and then there's another monologue, and another combat, and just kind of layers on top of each other. This Halo banished sandwich, I'll call it. But, I enjoyed it for the most part. So we'll skim through, I guess, the opening two combat areas. They're interesting enough. I think walking into this initial area, you have Escharum talking to you like he always does. And he is, let's see here. What does he say first? He says, "I thought perhaps that I misjudged you, that you would allow your cohort to die for the greater good. I pity you that I was correct." And now he's like deeply sick, now that asthma is really kicking in.
Get some albuterol, guy.
The House of Reckoning, such an appropriate name. Many of your kind have entered this arena None have left. Come, look upon my work, understand why we won. So I do think...
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, and the last sentence I think is good. I'm a little mixed on the beginning.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But he's more or less saying that this is a training area for the banished. They throw, captured soldiers of the UNSC in here just to have some fun with them, just to fuck with them, right? So that's why they have all this gear and all these weapons and everything else. And now it's Chief's turn to go through.
I love it. I think it's really cool. It's cool. It's a great reveal. It's a cool moment.
It's also so banished and brute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is just... It is such a good idea that makes so much sense for the banished to have something like this. I when I first saw it, I'm like, this is so cool, and it makes so much sense, and it's just, it's really cool. I love the House of Reckoning. I love the concept. I love how he introduces it. I love how he kind of talks about it throughout the encounters and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's just really cool, and it makes so much sense for the banished to do something like this.
Yeah. And you get treated, you see the hologram, and then he goes away, and then you get treated to this arena, which, why is this not a multiplayer arena at this point? Like, we need this thing in multiplayer. It's so rad.
Maybe it'll be Firefight or something.
Yeah. I think it's, so I love the design of this arena where it has, a building in the middle and all this gear around and some turrets. And it just looks like a training area. I mean, it's dead on to what it is, and there's plenty of space to move around and run around and switch weapons and grab different things. The objective says, let's see here, did I write it down? Survive basic training is your objective, and then you actually he gives you a little bit to go find some weapons and gear up, and then there is a horn that goes off, and you're treated with, I think it's 3 different waves of banished.
You mean the horn that they ripped from Star Wars?
Yeah, it does sound like a Star Wars.
It totally does.
Yeah. David, do you want to talk about just a little bit your thoughts on this initial encounter, the basic training?
I think it's cool. I like the way it does it is firefighty, which is grand, and it's basic enough, but I like it. It's a well-designed area. It's fun. You get fight like a lot of grunts and jackals and stuff, and maybe a couple of brutes in the last wave. But I like that it steps it up, and then there's another area which builds on that, which is kind of cool. So, no, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really well done, well laid out.
Yeah, this first area isn't too difficult, but you also know, well, I guess once you enter the next area, you're like, oh, okay, this is probably going to get harder.
Yeah.
So there's
a ramp here.
Yeah, there's a ramp, and the next one is called the advanced training. Any thoughts on this initial encounter, Krista?
No, I think it's a lot of fun to play. I think it's very fulfilling. Like, just going up this tower in general is just such a cool mission. I do think it's fun to play but boring to talk about. I mean, it's one of those things that doesn't have a lot of lore implications. Yeah. It's just, I fought banished.
Right. In a cool place. And this
in
guy
a cool
keeps
place.
talking shit while I do it.
Dude, he's the greatest shit talker of our generation.
He really is. What does he say here at the very end? You get a hologram. He says, "You're created. The false god Cortana destroyed my world, my home, but she could not kill the fire that burns in the heart of the banished. It makes us stronger." Except for then he starts, having an asthma attack. "Can you say the same?" he says. And then we go up.
I thought that was cool speech too.
Yeah, I do feel like towards the end of this, his, I think earlier in the game in general, we heard a lot of him spouting and talking shit, and it got to be a little old. And then I think towards the last couple missions, we haven't really, heard it too much. It hasn't been as in your face. So coming back to it again, it doesn't feel like it's too heavy-handed, but the fact that it's so pervasive in the entire mission, towards the end, I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. He just keeps beating that same drum. And I love the voice actor and the general tone of it, but it does get a little old towards the end.
It is nice that these speeches feel a lot more personal.
They do.
A lot of the speeches were just kind of generally talking to Master Chief, but now it's very pointed, thoughts and just talking about the stuff that we know now that would have been spoilers if they would have said something earlier.
And Chief also seems to kind of understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There's a very interesting dynamic between them during the entire level. Actually, it's really interesting, kind of how it plays out.
Well, and that's highlighted right here with the weapon asking, or talking to Chief about, why is he telling you this? And Chief says, death changes you. It forces you to make a choice. And she says, and what did he choose? And he said, the same as I would. Fight. And that's...
Well, and also this kind of harkens back to the entire, thing that Cortana's kind of been saying in her ghost voice. Like, if you knew how you were going to die, how would you live your life differently? Mm-hmm. It kind of helps carry that theme along, but through Chief's perspective.
Right. So we go up the elevator, and then we get another hologram, and then he talks about the siege of Palganar. So he talks about one settlement held out against his forces, the banished forces, for 19 days. He says they fought well, but in the end, their fate was sealed from the start. So they knew they were going to win. They held out as long as they could, which is I thought that was a cool story. Again, to your point, Krista, is like he personalizes a lot of this stuff in this mission.
I think you learn a lot more about Escharum just in this mission than any other time.
Yep. Yeah, and so this is advanced training now, and it doesn't say survive advanced. It just says complete basic training in the in the objectives. And this section is where you have that Easter egg, where in the initial kind of office area before you go out into the combat zone, there is one red button. So you push that one red button. And then you go out, and then on the top of the building, you just grapple up there. There's another red button to hit. And so slap that sucker, and then there's like this, it almost looks like a monorail track, just a little bit further into the room. So you can grapple over there, and there's another red button kind of high up. It's a little pain to get to, but click that button. And then what happens? You get a rocket hog.
What?
I have no idea. Rocket hog.
Shit.
Oh, okay, cool.
But here's the thing. How useful is a rocket hog when you can only play single player?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice. I obviously love the Easter egg, but giving you a rocket hog, I don't know where they thought that would be super useful, especially within this encounter, because you have obviously a lot of enemies. You have a bunch of skewer brutes here. You have a bunch of jackal snipers. You have the hunters to deal with. And if you just stay stationary and try to use that rocket hog, you get blown up pretty quick. Like you said, Krista, with one player, it's not super useful. With another person, maybe, but not
100%.
so much. I mean, you can probably just drive around a little bit here and there. But you gotta drive, then switch, and then shoot, and then drive, and then switch, and then shoot. It's just not very efficient. So I tried using it and didn't have a ton of luck using it at all. But I guess it's neat that it's there. They couldn't really drop a scorpion in for you. I don't know what else they would drop in to make it super handy, but
a ghost.
I appreciate it. A ghost.
Man, there's it's like a million special weapons they could have dropped in Halo on this stage.
Well, you already have
so many other
those.
things.
A lot of those are strewn about.
No, specialer weapons.
Right. Super special weapons. That's a good point.
Super special weapons.
Yeah, maybe like a gun goose would have been interesting. Like I could have seen myself
that would have
driving
been fun.
around trying to fire that sucker. But anyway, any thoughts on this advanced training, David?
It's an absolute fucker on Legendary. That's my thoughts on it.
That's it.
It's cool. It's another cool fighting arena. It's got a pelican in it, which I like, and it's kind of dope. It's got a good layout. There's a special Hydra, I think, in here as well, the kind of upgraded version. It's kicking around in here, so you can kind of pick that up. But no, it's good. It's good. I like it.
Krista?
I like the punchy boys. Like, there's a round of punchy boys, and punchy boys are great because you just stand on a crate. They just look at you. It's my favorite thing ever. You're just like, hello, I've outsmarted you. They throw some grenades, but it's still just like, Hi.
I ended up
How's it
going on top of the building for a little while and just trying to snipe people until I ran out of ammo. And then, to your point about the punchy boys, the berserkers, they come and they just stand right next to the building because they have nowhere else to go. And you can just shoot them in the cranium until they die.
It's great. I love them.
But being up there on top of the building also is a hazard for the hunters because they'll wreck you up there. You know,
God, the hunters are the worst.
Yeah, you can pop out, and I'm sure people can do it, but I was having a tough time. I was like chucking all my grenades, and I ran out of ammo, and then they would see me, and they would just, throw everything that they had right at me, and so I had to move and, take a different approach, but I was able to get them down. Once you get rid of them, then everybody else is fairly easy to clean up. But the skewer brutes are a little bit of a pain, because they do hurt you with those things. But yeah, is this the one with the pelican? Yeah, it has a pelican off on the side, which is neat. So yeah, overall, both these two, basic combat and advanced training, are cool arenas, and I can't wait until they give us something else. Maybe something in Forge, something else in multiplayer, something else with this layout. Will be fun. All right. So now we go up the elevator again. Do we get another hologram? I think we do here. Okay, so then Eshram says, this world looping, repeating forever. Is it a symbol of life or a cruel joke by the Forerunners? And then he goes away, and then what does he say? Oh, he says, let's see here. He goes up. Yeah. Then we go up.
He talks about the infinity then.
Yeah, I think we go up, and then he talks about the infinity.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we go up the next elevator, and then he pops out, because this is the third area. This is our I don't know, surprise area. He says, you were there when we struck the infinity. The first dreadnought came from the side. In the chaos that followed, you hardly had time to notice the other three bear down upon you. Do you know how long it took us to neutralize your greatest ship? 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, the infinity, mankind's finest achievement, became a memory. Then he laughs.
That was dope. Like, that's the dopest bit of his speech.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man. Like, putting it into context, you're like, oh shit. That was cool.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of people talking, a lot of like lore people talking about how the Banished weren't big enough, I guess, or weren't powerful enough to be a giant threat at this stage of, or maybe it was a little bit earlier in the stage of kind of the Halo timeline. But, over the course of the last, I don't know, handful of years since the Covenant's been gone, they've become real powerful, powerful enough to deal with Cortana, powerful enough to, take up home on this ring, and powerful enough to take out that infinity real quick. So it does show you that we still have a lot of work to do from the UNSC side, even if, everything for the rest of the game goes our way. There's lots more to deal with. Krista, do you want to talk about this third encounter, this surprise encounter?
Oh, it's so much fun. I love this one. I love how it's set up.
So,
okay,
I'll just say one thing is, from gear up, right? So gear up before this thing, because if you're not well geared, if you don't have the right weapons, this encounter does become a little bit more difficult. So I went and grabbed a BR, a rocket launcher, and then I did bring up a turret with me for this encounter.
All right, you went heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's basically just this big, like, bunker-looking building. And as you get close to it, it starts playing, like, the pilot's message, but it's obviously very distorted. Mm-hmm. It's creepy. Super freaking creepy. It just sings Mary Had a Little Lamb quite a bit. I don't like it. Kids shouldn't sing. They just shouldn't. So you can explore the room. There's a lot of cool things to look at. There's a lot of weapons, stuff like that. So, like Colin said, go ahead, gear up, take a look at everything. The encounter begins when you touch the puck. So if you wish to hang out in the room, you can hang out as long as you want. Once you pick up that puck, it begins. And it's so beautiful. is so much fun. All of the doors exiting the building shut, and Jaga's like, hey, it's time, it's Jaga time, I know you've been wanting to do this the whole time. And the Jaga encounter is really interesting. So he can go camo, but, like, disappear, like, completely.
Right.
So it's a dark room. He disappears completely, like, despawns, then can respawn, like, right behind you. So you actively feel like you're being hunted in this encounter. It is very cool. It's exactly what we were thinking for Jaga. At least I was. I think Jaga's super cool. I wish he got more screen time, but... Yeah, no, it's a cool encounter. There's definitely a lot of different strats you can do.
Yeah,
I know the
what'd you
coil strat's one of them. I'm not sure either of you guys have done that.
I tried the coil strat. It didn't work perfectly for me, but I was still able to take a big chunk out of them.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. I'm still here on Legendary. I haven't gone back in a long time. So I'm just like, fuck you, Jaga.
Oh boy. Do you want to explain it real quick, Krista?
Yeah. Krista, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so Jaga always spawns in the exact same place in this encounter. Like, there's a little cutscene where he ignites both of his super cool red energy swords and then starts running towards you. So what people have started to do is the place that he spawns, they've just been stacking coils, like any kind of fusion coils you could find, and then just exploding him and killing him instantly.
And you have to go stack before you do the puck. So you can kind of run around.
Yes. You have to set up.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he moves too quickly, and you can't really pull it off. I mean, you can do damage to him using the coils. That's why they're there. But doing the stack takes a little setup, takes a little time.
So when I do this encounter, I throw down a threat sensor. And then I just kind of pace back and forth, because you can hear when he decloaks and starts running towards you. Mm-hmm. So the moment I hear that, I grapple to the other side of the room, and as he's running towards me, I just spray him, and when he gets close, I grapple to the other side of the room and just wait for him to come. Once he despawns, I just start running back and forth, pacing a little bit. I usually refresh the threat sensor, and then just do it all over again. It's real easy. It's a real easy one.
Does he back off, like, at a certain time, at a certain damage, or did you get a sense for that?
I think it's a timed thing.
Yeah.
I think he's up for so long and then disappears, because if you don't do damage to him and you just dodge, he'll still disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be timed. And he will, I mean, he's pretty fierce. If you don't do any damage to him, or you just sit there and take it, he'll slice and dice you.
Oh, he like, you don't want him to get too close to you. He is brutal, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David, talk about your fun frustration.
No, I'm not talking about it.
David's having a tough time.
Yeah, I came in with bad weapons, and I don't have a save point, and I'm like, fuck this. So I've tried stacking a few times, and it just hasn't worked. He's either dodged it, or just like not taking enough damage, or I get caught in the explosion, or something or other. So it's just not being a good time for me. So I played it a ton of times on Legendary, haven't got past it, just packed it in, and I just haven't gone back.
Oh,
to be
really?
perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I need to, and because have to finish on Legendary, but I haven't. Who knows? Who knows when I'll have.
Well, the sad part is you finish this encounter and go straight into the next encounter.
Yeah, I don't know if that's harder or easier, but I don't know.
Have you done it on Legendary, Krista, yet?
No, I haven't, not yet. I'm doing Heroic currently in this Mission Debrief playthrough.
Yeah, same. I need to dust that off. Once we're done through the series, then I'll start chipping away at it. But I've heard that Legendary is manageable in Infinite. I think just because you have so many tools.
It's totally fine in like all of the areas. It was just the boss fights. Like Tremonius kicked my ass for so long. Like it's just where you get cornered in boss fights. It's where you lose it.
That makes sense.
It's actually incredibly fun in the open world on Legendary. I think it's one of the better games on Legendary.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like the encounters are probably more challenging, but like in a fun way. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the Jaga encounter as well. I think it's neat. I think it's nice that it's very fitting for who he is and his personality, and it's like a little bit of a trap that you walk into that is a trap. and Escharum is giving Jaga a chance to kill you, which I think is pretty cool. Very, very banished. I think he says it specifically. He's like, all right, here you go have some fun. Something of that nature. Where is it? Oh yeah, before you walk in, he says the end approaches, but first, alas, surprise. And then, I think when he kills you, he says he wanted to kill your friend, but I promised him a sweeter kill or a warrior's death. Okay, so that's beforehand. Whatever the outcome.
No, he says that when you kill him as you leave.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's move on. So we'll go up to the final encounter. The final encounter is Escharum. He does talk to us one more time. And he says, whatever the outcome, know this. The Banished control the ring. We came for war. 1,000 legions occupy this world. The auditorium will give up its secrets. The interference is just an irritation. Your interference is just an irritation. Fleeting. So he's just talking shit to the end. It's interesting. We'll cover off on the audio logs at the end, but a lot of the audio logs are kind of more or less the same. It's like, we're here, we're strong, we're the Banished, we're not going anywhere. Take if I die, there'll be more to replace me. We're not going anywhere. So he's just constantly, cheering on the troops, trying to keep the Banished going through his will, his rhetoric. All right, so let's go up the elevator here, and we do see 2 Atriox holograms, which I thought was neat. And this big old room, and in the distance you can see the pilot, finally. Turns out, yep, he is being tortured, if you forgot. He's in that same setup as, his name
Griffith?
Yeah, Griffin, thank you. Yep, same setup, being tortured behind that orange wall thing. And you go up and you try to let him out, and you cannot let him out because Escharum wants to fight.
Hell yeah.
David, do you want to talk about the cutscene?
Yeah, the cutscene is pretty slick. I really like. Well, there's a small little cutscene in the Jago one we kind of skipped over, but the Jago intro was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
His cutscene of just like his little intro, like stealthily, you can't even see it because it's like the perfect camo in this game. It's pretty cool. It is actually pretty damn cool. The one for this one is you step up, you push the button, the pilot is in like the orange bubble. It's like microgravity wells is how the weapon describes it. Putting pressure on him. And then Escharum kind of introduces himself, and it's a big kind of reveal. But like she's like, oh my god, he's here, and Escharum's like, he knows I'm here. Because it's not a trap, it's a fight. Like he's big old fight promoter this whole time, just egging himself on, egging people up, and then Chief is not too bothered at all because he obviously knew this was going to happen. So he pretty much says, "This is it. Our battle ends here." And then he kind of drops down. He's all armored up, big old scrap cannon, and he says, "What is it?" He says, our legends will live on, or like will survive us or something. His kind of like cool paraphrase. Like, yeah,
it's a really cool line.
Yeah, our stories will become legends told by those that survive you. And then he just screams, and then the fight begins. He looks dope. I like his armor. It's a cool intro, and obviously we've been talking about it before, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit again when we get to like audio logs and stuff. How like the real Escharum is kind of different to like the face he puts forward. I like this is obviously him embracing the fact that I think he's like accepted his death, like kind of Chief says, like death changes you. You have to accept it, and kind of what. And this is him accepting that he might die in this fight, which I think is pretty cool. He's putting on a brave face, but I think it is cool that like he's obviously weakened, he's sick, he's not well, and he's going to fight Chief, and he's just telling himself that he can do this more so to make it happen. I really love it. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
and then the fight begins.
If you listen to the audio logs too, I mean, he kind of knows he's gonna die, even though he doesn't.
Yeah, that's always the impression I got.
Right.
Well, and for a brute, it is much better to die in battle than to die slowly of sickness. So this makes total sense why he's been egging the Master Chief on this entire time.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then I like his armor and his scrap can. He kind of looks like a choo-choo train, and that's kind of how the fight is. Like he's just constantly walking towards you, and you are just constantly running around. This is the only time that I switched to the thruster at least my first playthrough, is I felt like that came in handy. The grapple shot obviously helps quite a bit as well, just getting away from him as he just trudges towards you. But it's similar almost to the... What was the fight in the House of Pain? Or not the House of Pain.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same
tower.
fight as you fought with Griffin.
Yeah.
Because it's the House of Pain. It's where he was torturing prisoners.
Yep.
It's pretty much identical to that, except with the extra mechanic of his shield.
What did you think of the shield mechanic?
I wasn't impressed with it. I thought it was kind of pointless.
Kristen, did you like it?
I don't know.
Escharum is a huge bullet sponge, and the shield mechanic doesn't help cover that very well.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. I like how it, it transfers the pain onto the pilot, and yada yada yada, and you have to quickly try to get the coils down and stuff like that. I mean, it's not bad. It's also nice to kind of know what phase of the fight you're in.
Yeah.
It's nice to have those coils to just kind of, because he's such a big bullet sponge, to just kind of have sections. Like, oh, I'm on the second coil, I'm on the third coil. I'm almost at the end, I got all the coils. So, it's nice, it's almost like a time, like a timekeeper, really, for the fight. Because the fight it's Escharum walking very slowly towards you, and you just putting as many bullets into him as physically possible.
Right. Until it resets. And then he has
until he goes and recharges his shields, and then you do it all over again. Right. Now, the last section, he does pull out his hammer and start coming at you, and it's a little different, but the first three are just him walking towards you with the scrap can.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind it. I think it switched it up enough. It's not revolutionary in terms of boss fight mechanics, but for me, it switched it up enough, and it was a familiar enough mechanic. Like, oh, okay, at least I know how to defeat him. It wasn't some new thing that I had to figure out. Yeah, it wasn't frustrating in the terms of needing to solve how to beat him. It was just frustrating in terms of being able to do enough damage in order to move on to the next stage, and then eventually take him down. So yeah, I mean, I was okay. I am okay with the Escharum fight overall. David, anything else you want to talk about before we do the cutscene?
I like that they give you a ton of weapons and ammo around. That's pretty cool. There's a rocket launcher here. They really do set you up, which I like, because God knows what you'd have coming out of the last fight, especially because you're going from boss fight to boss fight with nothing in the middle.
You have the new red blade, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Red blade.
I actually did pick that up and try to use it, and he just kills you. It's just no, go away.
Nuh-uh, I used it fine.
Did you? No, he kills me every time I use it.
You grapple him, and because you grappled him, it automatically hits him with the sword, and then you just grapple away.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
You guys gotta use your brains.
Whatever.
I just kind of Tarzaned around this map.
Yeah.
Just swinging around.
It would be funny though, playing Chief with the grapple hook in first person feels fine, right? It still feels like Halo, even though you have this grapple hook to make you move around. But if you saw that from third person view, or just watched a theater of,
you're just playing the Spider-Man game.
You're just playing Spider-Man, so I feel like it wouldn't feel very Master Chiefy, right?
Man, I am swinging around all over the place. It's definitely when you have the bandana skull, it's infinite cooldown, so it's ready to use instantly. So you just spam it, man. You just you do whatever you want. It's awesome, but it's also ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. All right, take us home.
Take us home. So guess what happens? You win. You win the fight.
You do.
So you kill Escharum.
You kill Monkey.
And the weapon is Chief just turns release the pilot, and then Escharum is kind of stumbling kind of around, and he's kind of like, Spartan, fight me. And John is just like, it's over. Do you know what I mean? Calm down. And he just kind of collapses into his arms, which I thought was kind of weird. And then he's like, nothing ends. My death will inspire 1,000 others. Which it might or might not. I think this is his own belief that his own troops care about him that much. Mm-hmm. And then he just goes, tell them I died well.
which ties back.
I
to
like
the
it.
beginning,
Yeah,
right?
it's a weird moment.
Fight hard.
I like it. I feel like it kind of, because this is well, at least Escharum saw them as like close rivals, right? Like, this is my challenge, this is my rival, this is the person who, it's either me or him. So, and I think Chief, through this cutscene, kind of also acknowledges that as well, like, he understands what's going on, it's just another soldier dying.
Yeah.
With another one.
It felt a little bit jarring though, because it almost kind of feels like it came out of nowhere. I feel like there should have been more of Escharum and Chief, I think, interacting with each other before we got to now we respect each other. Because the pilot reflects probably what most gamers are like, in terms of, it's like, I don't understand, you showed him respect, he was a monster. So like, he was exceptionally brutal towards humans, do you know what I mean? So it does feel a little bit weird, I think, Chief's response here. But again, Chief is not a shit-talking person,
nice.
you know.
Yeah, it's definitely nice, because this is one of the big bads in Halo that's just been a fellow warrior.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it's
true.
Not a giant tentacle monster, it's not weird old men in wheelchairs, it's not the Flood, this is just warrior to warrior, this is just another soldier.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, I think, and Chief has, in other games, when Chief isn't the protagonist, you would get more banter back and forth, but Chief doesn't talk shit back. That's just not in his nature, really. He'll do one-liners here and there, but he's just been absorbing all of this abuse, verbal abuse from Escharum. I think, and Chief's smart enough to know that it's all just rhetoric. It's all just lip flapping, right? He's trying to build himself up, and Chief has never been intimidated. He knows what he's trying to do the entire time, and then it finally gets to the point where he says it earlier in this mission. He says, "You know what? He's just gonna fight because that's what I would do, right?" And then at the end here, he talks about him just being a soldier, right?
Yeah, still a coward hiding behind, Echo 216. That's what kind of, it was a little bit at odds with him.
I mean, it was the only way Chief was going to go there. Exactly. Like, Chief's not going to just go fight someone to fight someone, right? There has to be a reason.
I mean the whole crappy shield thing. You can't hit me because you'll hurt your friend kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I'm like, dude, just fight him,
That's a good point. That mechanic almost makes it...
Look, he has asthma. That was his crutch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So in Halo, we fight tentacle monsters, men in wheelchairs, and kids with asthma.
I did think it was definitely a choice by 343, and they've been making this choice the last couple games. I guess maybe since they've had, I've heard people complain, the people that want the old Bungie games, the old Halo back, where it's a little more brutal, a little bit more dark, and whatnot. Like, we just murdered this guy. We threw how many million bullets into this dude, and he's stumbling around, and he's not bleeding at all. Like, his face is fine. There's nothing gushing. Like, they could have made him stumbling around, bleeding, with a huge gash in his face. Like, they chose not to do that. Did that strike you guys as odd at all?
I didn't really notice it, to be honest. I never expect Halo to be super anymore. Gory.
Halo's teen. Do you know what I mean? So the rating of it's changed, so the context of some of the things are going to change. I mean, sure, it's violent, but like, it's pinks and purples, splashing around. It's not bloody. It's not gory.
Mm-hmm.
When it technically kind of should be. Those energy blades should be chopping people in half, like for their lightsabers. Do you know what I mean? They should.
But Halo's never been like that.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
They're a little earlier.
I mean, it's been grittier, but it's never been gory.
Yeah, the Flood are kind of the most graphic, I think, that we have, and it is a little bit more brutal when you get to like the other mediums. It's just the games that aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, it struck me as a little weird that they didn't at least show him bleeding in some way, but maybe they're just protecting that T rating and trying to make sure as many people can play it as possible. Anyway, anything else to mention on this last? I guess the pilot does have a little one-liner at the end, which I kind of it was an eye roller for me. Did you guys like his little joke at the end?
Has anyone seen a pelican? Yes, it's whatever.
It was whatever. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't really like. Do you know when the heavy moment that just happened, and you just rescued him, and you're just telling him, "No, we're going after the Harbinger. That's worse." And then he's like, "Okay, just tell me one thing. You've seen a pelican?" Like, oh man, I don't know. It fell flat for me. I didn't like it.
Yeah, felt a little forced, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's the house. How are we feeling about it? How should we rate? Well, let's rate it, and then we got some audio logs and some other things to talk about. Let's do a quick rating. Krista, your
9. I love this mission.
Did you say 9?
9, yeah.
David?
8. Fuck you, Jaga.
Hey, you can't take off points just because you played it on Legendary.
It's a great mission. I do like most of Eshrom's like. His banter here is better because it's more, like Chris said, like it's more personal, it's more direct, it's on specific things, which are interesting. You know, the stuff you learn from this mission is really good, so I like the lore in it. Again, I wish Jacob was a bigger character, more screen time. That fight would have been better, like a better build, I think, should have been put there. That's generally speaking to like the hand of Atriox felt like a load of bollocks in this game. Didn't really come across. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it is probably one of the higher missions because I do love the combat arenas. I like the idea of what they are. The lore behind them is really cool, and you know the setup for the road is kind of cool as well. Like coming into this mission, this area, you're coming here to rescue your friend. No, I like it. I would give it a 9. I give it pretty high.
You're going up?
Yeah. No, hey, fuck you, Jacob.
All right, well, I'll give it a 9 then. I'm okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, why would I knock it down? Because it is a pretty rad mission.
Is Escharum a Twitch streamer?
What? Oh.
He's live streaming, like, all the time.
It's true.
Is he a Twitch streamer? I need to know.
He's a modern man. Modern gamer.
My god.
That's funny. All right, let's do that. 9, 8, 9. Oh, this is one of the higher missions then for us. I like that.
Of course.
We'll see how it shapes up to the next one, the Silent Auditorium. We've got a couple things to talk about before then. There is no skull, but we do have some audio logs. We have the prisoner, number 7, poor Lucas Browning. 1 there, and then we have 2 Escherum's testimonies. So let's play the prisoner number 7 for you now.
4, 2, 4, 1, 0, 0, 2, 2, 1, 4. Do you see why it must be done? These primitives, these banished. We both have watched our worlds crumble under the instruments of forerunner arrogance. Your kind were once their rivals, a long time ago. You were spared, forgiven, a luxury not afforded to us, to those they could not control. Humanity was the culmination of their final plan. But plans change. We are returning.
Alright, that was definitely an audio log. Yep. I'm pretty sure those are the winning lotto numbers, so be sure to write down those numbers and use them next time you play. So Lucas is just saying his numbers, I guess probably his call sign or something like that. And then the Harbinger is like, ha, fucking sucks to suck, loser. She talks about the Forerunners, how kind of humanity and the Endless are a little bit similar, except humanity got to, continue on after the Halos fired and you know, the Endless were put in timeout for eternity. So
Yep.
she talks about that, and then she talks about, oh, we're coming back though, baby. Look out for Halo Infinite 2, even more infinite.
Halo Endless.
Halo Endless, perfect.
The call signs is, I think it's a throwback to CE when, or I guess it
Keys.
was the anniversary version, where is that the cutscene where Keys is going insane with the flood overtaking him and he's trying to say his numbers. I think it's similar to that, which is cool. I thought that was neat. It took me a while to figure that out. I actually did look it up before this, to be completely honest. I didn't pick up on that. But it's neat. It's cool. Poor Lucas Browning. David, any thoughts?
Poor Lucas Browning. I don't know. Again, it's kind of weird. I don't understand who's recording these, but whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He's I like it, but she says, like, I'd like to understand what she did. Like, what was the purpose of whatever she did with this guy? I'd like to know if there was more to it.
Like exactly what she did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. She says, do you see why it must be done? These primitives, these banished. So obviously she's doing something that's against them. I don't know. Anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, I think these maybe this is one of the things, you know, a criticism, I guess. We've talked about a lot of these audio logs. We want to see the visual, and if we saw this in a visual, then it probably would hit better, because to your point, you're like, how is he recording this? Why are we hearing this? All this sort of stuff. But if it was just a cutscene or something, then it would make a little bit more sense. Or if it was a short story included in a short story. But the fact that it's a recorded audio clip, just it's a little odd. So it's like the writers writing good things, writing interesting things, but it was just the way that they decided to capture that media. Like in some instances, it does make sense. Like with all the audio logs you find all across the ring, like a lot of the times those do make sense, but this one specifically, not so much. Okay, let's talk about, or let's listen. The final two entries, Eshrom's testimony, 8 and 9.
The Spartan is close. The end approaches. Good. These may be my last words. Fight, my banished brothers. Never surrender. Never fear. Whatever the outcome, we will prevail. Under his armor, he's just flesh. Human. Weak. If I fall, two must take my place. We rise to face the challenge. Blood sacrificed for victory. For the banished. The human has such faith in his savior. He has hope where there should be none. I will take that from him. If I am to die today, so be it. I've had time to make peace with it. But in death, I will inspire generations. And that will be my legacy. I will have beaten him. If not today, then tomorrow.
Okay, so these two are kind of more or less the same. I like it in terms of, like, obviously Eshrom's testimony are probably the most interesting banished logs. I haven't been the biggest fan of the Banished logs in this game, but the Eshrum's ones are kind of cool because you can extrapolate some of his personality from it and his condition and his mindset, which is really interesting. So I like to see the split between the propaganda he puts forward for his troops and his inner thoughts. So these are kind of cool, where it's like in both of them he talks about dying and losing, and the other ones that he's promoting to others is like, it's without a doubt he's going to win. This is crushed. No one cares about Chief. You're a minor insignificance. You're a little bump in the road. No one really cares. But inside he's like, oh man, I'm fucked. Do you know what I mean? So I like these two. They don't give you much other than that kind of flavor and talking up John of like he's just human, he's flesh under that armor, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's cool. I do think it's cool.
Yeah, it is interesting because in some cases it's Eshrum's testimony. In the last one, the ninth one, he is talking to himself, and it's like his personal journal. Whereas in the eighth one, it's like, I hope somebody finds this.
And it's interesting that it's called Legacy. Even the one before is called Victory. So he's kind of recording it, kind of like, after I die, listen to this one.
Right, exactly. This is the one that you take and play for people. So I don't know. There's a little bit of a disconnect here. I mean, again, I know what they're trying to do, but the difference in the two, the tone of the two, especially if it is supposed to be, is it supposed to be his personal diary, or is it supposed to be found, audio clips left behind on purpose for the Banished to find?
Could be both.
Could be both, I guess. I don't know. Any other thoughts, Krista?
Big monkey go burr.
Is he Master Craig?
Ooh.
He's like Super Craig.
Super Craig.
Super Craig.
I like that.
Because Craig's out, touring with his band. So
He is.
He's got gigs, man. He's busy.
Escher would have a good voice, though. I think. Singer, like a death metal band.
He'd be a good screamo, yeah.
What do you know with his asthma? I don't know.
Like some Pantera. Just, let's go, baby.
He needs to get the asthma treated before anything.
All right.
He needs a nebulizer.
Yeah, right. All right, we got a community question. We'll get out of here. We have one main mission left, and then we'll recap it for you. Let's hear what our community had to say. All right. Krista, what did Discord have to say?
Hello. You're headed to Vegas with your crew and have one spot left in the vehicle. Who would you invite to take the last spot, Eshram or Jaga? Question for Mission Debrief, Halo Infinite, House of Reckoning episode. What? Are you on crack, Colin?
I'm just, trying to diversify.
It's like,
questions.
It's like, what, God, it's that one movie where the potheads go to White Castle.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that.
That dude, where's my car? Is it that one? There's a different one.
No, I think it has Keanu Reeves on it.
I think it's... Oh, okay. Anyway.
It's like Harold and Kumar's Adventure or something. That's what it is. Okay, Matt says Eshram, because when he dies of old age, we can reenact Weekend at Bernie's. Organized Crime says Jaga, because brutes smell really bad, and I can only imagine that smell ages like a glass of milk in the Texas summer. So Eshram probably smells like the Gravemine's gooch. Damn. I wouldn't want to smell that. Toki McPot says, nice of you to assume I have other friends to make a crew. So Esheram, I bet he's a great drunk and we'd get in all sorts of shenanigans. He's totally strong enough to flip the roulette table, too. Yeah. Jedi Spartan 38 says Jaga, because he'd likely use his camo to sneak into the vehicle even if he wasn't invited. Plus, Esheram would probably be strong enough to break the vehicle when he got into the seat anyway. Postman Pat says, I can't fit any more people in my van. Too many kids. I mean, letters to deliver. The only other parts of my crew is my cat and Jess's corpse because I shot him. Who's Jess?
Jess is the cat.
Oh, yeah, it's the cat.
Jess is the cat in Postman Pat.
Oh. Comet says Jaga because Esheram would probably get mad and flip the RV when he turns to drive. Yeah, I don't think Eshram would be a very good driver. Sokolel says, Jaga, if we run out of food, he can go hunt for us. And that's about it.
Very nice.
So there we go. We're going on a road trip with either, emo or Stinky.
Okay.
All right,
That's
Facebook.
choice.
Your turn.
Facebook. You were headed to Vegas. Oh, sorry. Colin Perkins, admin, June 15th at 1:56 p.m. That's right. I remember how to do this. You're headed to Vegas with your crew and have one spot left in the vehicle. Who do you invite to take the last spot? Eshram or Jaga? Question Mission Debrief. Halo Infinite. House of Reckoning episode. Picture of a van in the desert. Okay. We have a few responses here from the guys. Logan says, Jaga could get into some serious trouble in Vegas without invisibility. Ooh, yeah. John T says, Jaga couldn't be dealing with Eshram shouting about everything all the time. Literally every single sentence. Jimmy John, Eshram, because he'll be like a big teddy bear to cry on when I inevitably gamble away my life savings. Jaga for sure from Simon. His stealth will get us into some wild Ocean 12 shenanigans. That's good. Nathan, Eshram, I'll probably die of asthma attack before you get there, so you'll have life insurance to collect and spend it all on your trip. In his memory, of course. It's very dark, Nathan. Jaga, his amazing active camo would be useful to spy on other people's hands in poker. I like where people's brains are at with this stealth.
You're right.
Ray says, Eshram, we all listen to podcasts, and I think of a live podcast just straight shitting on humanity and Chief. Connor says, Jaga would rather a quiet passenger than live with the risk of being hit up the back of the head by one of Eshram's lungs. Jaga, Dickie says, Jaga he would shut his damn mouth, plus I feel like he'd be a dope road trip DJ. MS is probably death metal like Shadow of Intent. That's pretty cool. Lucas says, Eshram, that grumpy war vet from Vietnam that always keeps talking about how good the Marine Corps used to be. If you handed him an M16, he could still put a hole in someone at 300 meters. And he says, Jaga, he's an old war vet from Desert Storm who's got a prosthetic. He kind of just sits in the corner and grumbles to himself. He's really gotten into knives lately. So he tries to use them at the most inopportune times, like when trying to get gas or when checking into a hotel. Gonna go with Eshram. That was Lucas. Thank you very much. And then finally, Chris says, Eshram, I don't want Jaga hitting on my woman. He's a robot arm, probably goes like an Energizer bunny. Plus Eshram knows all the best strip joints. There we go. That's pretty good, guys. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like we're pretty split.
Yeah, a lot of Jagas in there, but Facebook, yeah, it's actually pretty split between the two.
Very nice. That'll do it for our debriefing of the House of Reckoning mission from Halo Infinite. On the next episode, we'll be debriefing the final mission of Halo Infinite, Silent Auditorium.
Oh my god.
Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Evolved on Patreon. For everything Evolved has to offer, visit evolvedhalo.com. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve.
Evolved.